Lesson 78 time. 3 to go. Yes. Graphing rational functions. This is something that I actually do. Like, this might end up being 2 videos. I'm just saying. I might go overboard, you know. Hey folks, do you got some graph paper? That would be really great today. You're gonna need your homework paper. It has the grids on it. You're gonna be doing some graphing. Got your handy dandy notebook? Yes. Pencil? Yes. You're gonna need your graphing calculator today. And well, a good healthy plant might work because it makes oxygen, and you need that for your brain to, you know, think. Cogitate. Have some big thoughts here. Okay, that's enough yappity yap. Lesson 78 is going to take up what's called the inverse x function, the 1 over x as kind of the starting point for graphing, and then we'll see what are the general characteristics of this graph, and then what happens if we move it up, down, left to right. We can, you know, adjust the numbers there, kind of like we might take a line and we increase the slope and it goes like this, and we decrease the slope, and we can change the intercept and it moves up and down. So we can do that with pretty much any graph, and today we're going to explore this one right here a little bit. So we have this word rational, and it doesn't mean like there's ones that, like, this one just makes sense. It's not that kind of rational. It's the kind of rational where we're talking about a ratio. So these are functions or equations that have fractions in them, and the variable, like the letter x, ends up being in the denominator. That's the thing. Now this makes things tricky. Okay, it might not seem like it'd be that big of a deal, but fractions are tricky. And then when you put things in the denominator, when you put variables, things that could be any number in the denominator, that makes things tricky as well. Because when you push graph on your graphing calculator, it starts putting in all kinds of numbers in and then evaluating it. Well, what happens when you try to plug in x equals 0 into this equation? Something weird happens. The graph starts over here with negative numbers. That's fine. 1 over negative 2 is negative 1/2. 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. 1 over negative 0.2 is like negative 20. But when you hit 0, it doesn't know what to do, okay? Because you're not allowed to divide by 0. A giant hole opens in the universe and things get sucked in. So what your calculator does is it stops drawing your picture down here and it starts drawing your picture up here. When you are at 1 over positive 0.1, you've got an answer of 10. Okay, and if you plug in 1, you're at 1, 1. And if you plug in 2, you're at 1/2 and 1/3 and 1/4 and 1/5. And it does that thing that we've seen before. Do you remember this shape over here? This is the inverse proportionality curve, that as x increases, y decreases. It's the same thing that we had back yonder when we did that proportionality thing, the constant proportionality. It's related to that. So it's a very interesting graph. There, I think, are 3 interesting features in it. There's that curved part of it, and we can change the curved part of it by changing this number here. If we make it bigger, then we get less of a curve. It gets kind of straighter because it's doubling everything. If we make that number less than 1, then we get like almost like a corner. So that's one thing. We can change the curvature of that line. We're never going to change the shape of that line, but we're going to change the curvature of that line by changing the number in the numerator. But then the other thing is that there are 2 places on this graph that the graph never gets to, okay? As it's graphing from left to right, and if we extended that line way super out there, this line just gets closer and closer and closer to 0 from the negative side, but it can never, ever, ever get to 0, because you're always going to have 1 divided by something. Even if it's an extremely large negative number, 1 over negative That's still not 0, is it? So it will never touch the x-axis for 1 over x. Same thing over here. No matter how big your value for x is, this thing will never be 0 because you're always dividing 1 by something. Even if it's an extremely large number and that gives you an extremely small fraction, it will never get to 0. That thing, if we're doing it to the left and to the right, and there's some value that this equation is approaching, but it never quite gets there, one of our fancy words that we're going to use is called asymptote. Maybe it's French because there's some letters in there you don't pronounce. Asymptote. If it's this kind that goes horizontally, we're going to call that a limit. This function has a limit of 0. Okay, as x increases toward infinity, this graph approaches 0 but never quite gets there. So it has a limit. It's never going to cross over that line and be less than or equal to or less than 0. The other one is right here, where oftentimes the book will put a dotted line because it is not a continuous function. You'll be drawing this function, and then at some point you're going to have to pick up your pens or pencil and continue it somewhere else. And so they oftentimes will draw a dotted line right there to show you that there is an asymptote, a vertical asymptote, where you won't get any answer. And I'll show you that on the calculator here once I move the camera over to the table. So there's some interesting little properties about this function. And then what we'll do is I'll give you a general form to go with, and then I'll actually build a function for you on my other calculator, and I'll use a thing called a slider to change the values of the number up here and some other stuff to show you how the picture can be moved left, right, up, or down, just like we've done with other things before. Okay, so let me get rid of the picture, because I think we're familiar with that shape now. And let's talk about excluded values. So with the function, let's just treat it like y equals 1 over x. We know if you're trying to graph that, we have to look at the denominator and see when would the denominator be equal to 0, because we know that's a problem. The calculator will fuss. It'll just, if you, even on your home screen, you try to go like 2 divided by 0, it gives an error message. You see that? I'm not doing a very good job here, but there you go. It doesn't like that at all. So we want to avoid that. So with the basic equation, we say x could not be 0 and this thing worked for us. Sometimes it's pretty obvious. All you got to do is treat that denominator like it's its own little problem and say, when does this equal 0? So I'll give you an example. Maybe our thing is 1 over x plus 2. Okay, so then we take this bottom part, we say x plus 2 equals 0. We want to solve for x. That's going to be an excluded value. Subtract 2 from both sides. When x equals negative 2, we have something that doesn't work. So we're going to say x cannot be negative 2 in this problem, and I'll show you on the calculator what happens there. There's another interesting situation that happens, and I'll show you this one on the calculator too. Maybe we have something like this type of rational function. We're trying to graph this, and the calculator does a fine job of graphing it. It knows, excuse me, it knows what to do. In fact, I could factor out that top part because it's just the difference of 2 squares, and I can break this down into x plus 2, x minus 2, and then we've got divided by x plus 2. And now you can see that because these are factors, I can cancel out this and this. That equals 1. So it is equivalent to x minus 2, which our calculators can graph pretty easily. It'll look something like that. Okay? So even if I typed in this original equation, it looks pretty much identical to this equation here, to y equals x minus 2, with one small difference. This is, if I type this in, it does not know what to do when x is negative 2. Okay, so I'll show you what your calculator does when that's the case. I think it'll be pretty interesting. Okay, so that's something to say about it. It actually creates like a hole right there when x is -2. There's like no answer there. I think that's kind of cool. They call that type of function a discontinuous function. Anytime where you'd have to pick up your pencil and then put it back down and keep drawing. Any place where there's like a hole, or another discontinuous function would be what's called a step function, or it's also called a rounding function, where you're like, I'm going to round it down to the nearest whole number, but then when I hit the next nearest whole number, it has to go up. So there'll be a gap there where I have to jump. Or like we had in the original problem, where we have something where we have to skip completely, where we have an asymptote. So there's three possibilities for one of these. There may be a hole, there could be a step, or there could be an asymptote. There's three reasons why you can have something that is not continuous. It's discontinuous. You have to discontinue drawing and start somewhere else. All right, we already talked about the horizontal lines and the vertical lines, the asymptotes, using the dotted line. So let me move over to the camera and maybe do one or two problems, and then we'll have to do a second video for lesson 78 to cover the rest of the stuff. Okay, so just, well, I guess I have to hang on, or you're just going to wait a few seconds and then we're going to be on the camera. Okay, folks, I'll show you a couple things. I'm going to start with this one here in y3, 2 over x minus 8. And the math says that we're trying to find when the denominator would equal 0. So there we go. I just pulled out that x minus 8 and say, when does x minus 8 equal 0? That happens when x is 8. So x equals 8 is an excluded value. It cannot be that. So if I graph that, I get nope, gosh, there it is. It's way over there. And you can see we have what's called the vertical asymptote. That dotted line thing is going to happen when we're at x equals 8. If I trace and I put 8, it has no answer there for y. But if I go slightly to the left, then yes, it does. It's very, very negative. Or go slightly to the right, I get something that's very, very positive. So that's what happens when you find an excluded value. It's just going to be an asymptote. It's going to be a vertical asymptote, and on your graph you're going to draw a dotted line. So that one looked like this. It's coming in, it's coming in, coming in, and then once we hit, well, where's 8? It's right there. I'm going to draw in a dotted line, and it's just going to plunge off but not cross that, and then start over again over here. Okay, that's the way you'd have to draw that one. Not cross this line and not cross that line. You're going to have to start again up at the top. Now the other thing I was talking about would have been, let's go up here to this one. I've got that problem x squared minus 4 over x plus 2, and we said that is equivalent to just the line, the line x minus 2. So go ahead and graph that. You can see we get straightness here. So that all looks good, right? But we said the original problem still includes that denominator x plus 2. So now when we hit trace, and that's fine, but if we plug in -2, we have this problem right here where, yeah, there's the x value, but there's no y value associated with that with our original problem. So when we graph that one, we'd graph that line just fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to -2, and we're going to just leave an open circle to show that that one's discontinuous there at that one point. That's actually what happens. The calculator doesn't do a good job of showing it, but there it is. When you hit trace and you type in that number, it shows nothing. So come back for episode 2, and we'll cover some more examples of rational functions.